Man, what an anime! This show is filled to the brim with a cast full of best girls, including Sakuta. This anime has as many best girls as Hololive.
この辺か
That's it, it's all I wanted to say. Go and see it if you haven't. But in all seriousness, I want to talk about how much I love Seishun Bura, and why its message is so important to many people around the world, no matter if they are still in high school or already working in a company, or trying this YouTube thing like me. The anime talks about our relationship with society and how it affects us. It starts talking about an atmosphere. This atmosphere is invisible but treated like an actor on its own, responsible at times for the problems that the core protagonists go through. The problems that they face are very different from one another, but share some similarities, mainly on how the girls tackle the problems that they face and how either they struggle with the pressure of society, friends and family on them, or how they try to create solutions that is obvious that don't work, but the funny thing is that those poor solutions that these girls come up with and even aggravate things further are the same problem that we do a lot of times. I'm talking about avoiding conflict altogether, isolate ourselves from the rest of the world, or even lie to others and us about who we are to be able to fit and feel we belong to a world. So there are studies that tell us that when we are bullied, when we face heavy stress or anxiety, those mental states can transmit to physical problems, like feeling physical pain from being insulted by others, maybe having stomach problems, low energy, headaches, etc. But this show takes these studies and notches it up 1,000 decibels in the drama scale. But it's pretty effective to show us how these problems we may face as students or workers, young or old, affect us more than people realize. Like Kaede having these wounds coming out of nowhere, expressing her inner mental state. Same for Sakuta. And if you see, these kind of issues or characters have are generally towards themselves. And if you see, these kind of issues or characters have are generally felt only by themselves. The only exception being Toga, who affects others, but is also a good reference because although there are issues that only affect us, it can also affect those who surround us at times. So, the anime presents us with this problem that many young people are facing around the world. In May, for example, we can see how isolating ourselves from the exterior world can make us feel like we don't exist. That's why social media is so powerful, because it gives people the option to always feel connected, even if it's an artificial connection that is just a temporary solution, and that can make us feel even lonelier. Like Kaede and Sakuta being affected by school, Kaede being bullied and developing social anxiety, and Sakuta having to deal with the rumors at school about him being violent. Bullying and rumors are still very prevalent issue in many parts, and it pushes us again to feel lonely because we are so afraid of others and what they will say about us, because at the end we are social beings trying to fit and find a place where we belong in this world. Same with Koga. Out of fear of not feeling lonely, she lies about herself, about where she comes from. Hell, she even changes her accent so she feels people won't make fun of her. So you see the pattern. When people feel lonely without help, at times the options they feel they have for being cornered is to stay silent, low, unseen, or on the other way, pretend literally changing who they are to avoid that loneliness as much as they can. And there's the problem in part. Our fear of being alone is consuming us. Instead of being comfortable with us, with how we think and look like, of being authentic and understand not everyone has to like us, we avoid it like the plague. But for those like us who already were alone for a long part of our lives, social media like Reddit, Instagram or Twitter give us that false sense of convivence with others. So instead of pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, we stay in it from the safety of our homes. And you see clearly how Sakuta is tired of that fakeness, instead opting to see people face to face as much as he can, and I agree with him. Personally, that's why I took down my Reddit account, and I'm trying to strengthen the relationship with my family, friends, and even make new friends on other platforms where I am putting my real name or get to know new friends on other platforms. We should try, me included obviously, to get away from our screens and get closer to people. That's also why I love the solution the anime proposes in Sakuta. Instead of getting defeated by his demons, Sakuta renounces this atmosphere. He gets out of it, and in part, he renounces society. You can see through the anime how he doesn't have a lot of friends, but in being skeptical about what people say around him and what they have to say, he now hears himself, what he wants to do and say. He calls out the hypocrisy of people around him, no matter if it's a friend or a stranger. He wants to be authentic, and in that authenticity, although he may not be popular, he attracts people. People who find in his philosophy of living a solution or help to their problems. With Mai, it was having someone who hears her. In Koga, she found someone who isn't afraid of being himself, no matter what others think of him. With Taba is being honest with your feelings. And if you see, he doesn't necessarily give the answers, he demonstrates them in his way of living. A teacher once told me that the best way to teach others wasn't by writing something or telling them what to do, it's by showing them the answer. And if we want to tell others what they should do to be better, we should first demonstrate them how we do it and how it has worked for us. And that's what Sakuta does. Although he tells his perspective to the girls at times, he mostly shows with his actions what he wants to teach these girls. Pretty difficult to do, because it means that if you want to teach the solution in part, you have to be the solution that demonstrates the effectivity of said solution. If you see Sakuta's actions, they shine a bright spotlight on the hypocrisy of society and our own hypocrisy, because at times we create those problems by avoiding them or creating a solution that is like putting a band-aid on a breaking down. And other times you can see how badly people are affected mentally and physically because of those problems, like bullying, not being able to express themselves, by solitude and loneliness, by thinking they need to fill people's expectations, etc. So take a look at Seishun Bora and how it tries to show us how other people's feelings can be more intense than we expect, and to know when it's time to step back, reflect, and act as we believe is the best action for our own health. Because if we give us space to be ourselves, we will be able to be free and live. Thanks for coming. Also, this show has a ton of cute anime waifus if I haven't mentioned it. I do? Okay,